Hello, and welcome to the Growth Edit, a podcast about the moments that shape us, the beliefs that hold us back, and the healing work it takes to become who we were always meant to be. I'm your host, Georgia, and I'm so excited you're here with me today because if you know me, you know this has been a long time coming. A long time coming. But here we are. I've got my matcha in hand, and I'm ready to go. I created this space because, like so many of you, I know what it's like to struggle. I've been there. I know what it's like to grow up in darkness, to feel disconnected from yourself, to wonder if life will ever get better. And I also know what it's like to begin finding your way out, to rebuild your sense of self, to learn how to feel safe in your body again, and to slowly reclaim your spark. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what this is all about? Being human. The human experience, full of peaks and valleys, learning curves, and growth. There's this quote by Carl Jung that says, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." And that really resonates with me deeply because it captures what this work is all about. Growth, healing, self-development. It's about realizing we're not defined by our pain, but by what we choose to create from it. Some episodes will just be you and me, where I'll share my own stories and the lessons I've learned along the way. Other episodes will be conversations with guests, people from all walks of life with different skills, expertise, and experiences we can all learn from. My intention here is to share stories, tools, and insights spanning from self-development, neuroscience, faith, wellness, relationships, business, and more, all to support you on your healing journey and your path to your highest self. In this first episode, I just want to lay the foundation, give you a glimpse of where I came from, what I carried, and how I began to find my way. There's so much more I'll share in future episodes, but today is really just about the groundwork, so you can get to know me and why I care so deeply about this work. I grew up in a home shaped by addiction. One of my parents struggled with alcohol, which meant I never knew what version of them was going to walk through the door. Some days were quiet, some were chaos, but every day felt like walking on eggshells. I had no safety, no real protection, no one modeling emotional regulation, no one teaching me how to feel and process in a healthy way. Self-care and self-love were considered selfish, and health and wellness weren't even concepts in that world. The whole environment was rooted in lack mentality and fear. I learned instability before I ever learned love. By the time I was 12, 13 years old, while other kids were laughing and playing, I felt like an outsider, like I was watching life happen from behind a barred window. That loneliness grew so heavy that I started to wonder if life was even worth living. To be completely honest with y'all, I even tried to check out a few times. I mean, I really wrestled and struggled with that. I was just a kid, and the darkness felt endless. Flash forward a bit, I pushed myself, I worked hard, I chased opportunities. I tried to outrun the pain by building a future, like so many of us do. But eventually, life caught up to me. When COVID hit, everything collapsed. I lost community, I lost work. I was stuck in a relationship that drained me. I was grieving, and in the middle of all of it, my body gave out. The pain started small, but it grew fast. I ended up going to see multiple doctors, all of which told me that I had severe spinal stenosis, nerve damage, multiple herniations. They were like, "Wow, honey, your spine looks like it belongs to an 81-year-old woman." I remember sitting there, holding back tears, while the words blurred into a diagnosis that felt like a prison death sentence. I was told my only options were surgery or pain shots for the rest of my life. Regular PT wasn't going to cut it. And in that moment, it felt like the walls closed in. The future I thought I was building, gone. My body, the one thing I thought I could push through anything with, failing me. Meanwhile, the rest of the world was out here mastering TikTok dances and perfecting their sourdough starters, and I was lying flat on my back every night trying to master the art of rolling over without crying. And listen, when they told me my spine looked 81 years old, I was like, okay, cool. Love that for me. Yay, early 20s going on early 80s. Wow, we sure went from forever 21 to forever 81 real fast. My spine was out here applying for double ARP benefits before I even hit 25. Like, excuse me, God, can a girl just live, please? That entire period that followed was brutal. Not only was I in extreme pain, but my self-image was in the gutter, okay? On top of all of that, I felt completely directionless. I was in the prime of a quarter-life crisis. I'm talking rock bottom. And here's the thing about rock bottom. It strips away all the illusions and forces you to face the truth of your reflection. I'm going to be honest with you. In those moments, the only thing that steadied me was my faith and turning to prayer. One of my favorite prayers that I like to pray every morning would be, Lord, please give me this grace, strength, and courage to get through this today. And I would just repeat that over and over and over again. And somehow, leaning on God gave me just enough strength to make it through the next day. It truly felt like a supernatural force started holding me. Something I couldn't have drummed up on my own. I couldn't and can't really explain it. Flash forward to one of those days. I was lying there in pain so sharp it felt like my body was on fire. And then, out of nowhere, I had a thought. Wait, what if I just choose to believe I have the power to heal myself? It wasn't loud, it was very quiet. It wasn't even convincing at first. In fact, it sounded crazy. Literal cuckoo nest. But it was there. It was like a little flicker, a little firefly, and a vast space of darkness. I already knew on some level that emotions live in the body, that pain isn't always just physical, it's also emotional, stored, unprocessed, and carried in the body. The Body Keeps the Score. It's a great book, by the way. And suddenly, I could feel it. My body wasn't just breaking, it was screaming at me. It was demanding that I finally face what I had buried for so long. So I made a promise to myself. I was like, no more outsourcing my healing. Not to doctors who told me my story was over, not to spiritual leaders and coaches who told me their way was the way. No. I was going to trust myself. Even if I had no roadmap, even if it meant starting from zero. So I listened to my intuition and I started small. I started with my physical body. That looked like long walks around the block, long hot baths that softened me just enough to exhale, gentle stretches, moving my body in ways that made me feel alive, activities that just made me feel present. I studied the body too. I even got NASM certified, not to become a personal trainer, but to rebuild my own mind-body connection after years of dissociation. And slowly, I started to release the emotions I'd been holding in my body, in my muscles, in my spine, in my breath for all of these years. And it wasn't glamorous either. No, y'all, it was far from it. It was ugly crying on the yoga mat in my living room, screaming into pillows, looking like some exorcism meets Pilates situation. I'm serious. If my neighbors saw through the window, I'd probably be on neighborhood watch list by now. But hey, that mess was medicine. My body finally started to let go. And here's something important I realized in that season. I had already been doing all of the mindset work for years. The journaling, the affirmations, visualization, naming limiting beliefs, tracking emotional root causes in the body, neuroscience tools, mental and spiritual concepts. I already knew all of that for years. Studied, trained, did the work. And I was trying to rewire my brain. But none of it worked because my body was still stuck in survival mode. I couldn't just think and know my way into healing. It doesn't matter how much knowledge I know, how many tools that I have. Just because I was aware of the emotional root causes and limiting beliefs didn't mean mindset tools alone were going to create a lasting shift. My body wasn't safe enough to let the work land. And I'll go deeper into this in a later episode, but the short version is your brain cannot rewire if your body doesn't feel safe. Once I shifted focus to my nervous system, that's when everything changed. Over time, my body softened, it began to trust me again, and the pain started to fade. I added IFS therapy, understanding internal family systems, parts work, exploring attachment styles. I cleaned up my diet, corrected deficiencies, started tracking my cycle. And then one day, it hit me. I was pain-free. I was running miles, even signing up for races, doing everything doctors swore I'd never do again. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving, but I was living. I felt alive. That's why I created this space, because I know what it's like to carry pain and not see a way forward. Trust me. And I also know what it's like to find healing on the other side. So before we wrap up, I want to share some key takeaways from my story today, the lessons I had to learn the hard way that I want you to walk away with. 1, nervous system safety is foundational, period. Nothing sticks until your body feels safe. When you're in survival mode, your brain shifts into survival circuitry. Stress hormones flood your system, and the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for learning and rewiring, it basically goes offline. That's why it's impossible to fully rewire neural pathways until the body feels safe. 2, the body keeps the score. Anytime we suppress emotions or numb out or distract ourselves, that energy gets stored. It gets stored in our bodies. For me, years of avoidance showed up as pain and breakdown. Healing began when I let my body feel and release what it had been holding on to. 3, don't outsource your healing. Doctors, coaches, leaders, they're a wonderful resource. Yes, they can help. But at the end of the day, you and you alone have to trust yourself and your intuition. 4, your brain is always proving your beliefs true. What you focus on gets amplified. I was so focused on pain and on doctors telling me that I'd never heal that my brain kept proving them right. So when I shifted to noticing even the smallest wins, the micro moments in my day, my brain started proving that true instead. 5, rock bottom can be a beginning. It seems like the end. It really does. But hitting that low point forced me to stop outsourcing my power and start rebuilding on my own terms. 6, faith matters. Prayer and leaning on God gave me strength that I couldn't generate on my own. I had to go deeper than the flesh and connect with something greater than me. That alone carried me through the darkest days when nothing made sense. 7, healing doesn't have to look perfect. No, there's this cliche, this Instagram highlight reel that healing is hot girl walks, matcha. Oh, just hydrate, all the supplements. Oh, my skincare. all of these, superficial, yes, become the best version of yourself. Yes, amp up your self-care. But healing is also really messy. For me, it involved a lot of ugly crying. Again, a lot of ugly crying on the mat and screaming into pillows. Crying in the car, crying behind my sunglasses. I mean, tears will be shed, and that's okay. Messy work is still healing. Even on days where you don't feel like you're making any progress, I promise you, you are. Because some days you do need to take a time out. You do need to be like, all right, I need to stop work and I just need to take the rest of the day for myself. Listen to that. Listen to what you need, what your body needs, and give yourself that grace and compassion and make that space for yourself. Make yourself a priority. Make yourself a priority. Lastly, please don't forget joy. Look, y'all, life is meant to be enjoyed. Fun regulates the nervous system too. Do not take life too seriously. Dance in your kitchen, go on that excursion, eat that really yummy meal, laugh, find the humor in life. Just let yourself be a silly goose. Allow yourself to live from that curious inner child that sees the world full of beauty, awe, and wonder, where there's miracles and opportunities all around us. It is so easy to get trapped in our heads and we're stuck just overthinking everything, just overthinking the challenges and ruminating and being like, oh, well, this reflection and I need to do this and this and this. And we start living from our heads and then we wonder why. Why do I feel so drained? Why do I feel so low-key depressed? Yes, life is challenging. Life has its ups and downs. And yes, life is about learning and growing, but life is also about living, about being joyful, about having fun, about laughing. That is living. It's a mix of all of it. And that's what makes life so beautiful and complex too. And that's why it's so important to learn how to, when life feels overwhelming, when you feel frustrated, come back to your breath. Come back to the present moment. Listen to your body. What does it need? What do you need? What do you need in that moment? Because listen, y'all, life is short. I mean, think about the time in the universe, how old the universe is. We are here for literally a blink, like just a blink. That's life. That is the life that you, yes, you, listening to this in this very present moment, whatever you're doing, whether you're sitting down, driving, walking, laying down, you are here in this present moment. And this present moment is all that matters. Connect with your breath. Look at your hands. Take a moment to look at your surroundings and really notice it. Get out of your head. You and I are both here on Earth in this exact moment in time, in this exact blink of time. So be easy on yourself, okay? Everything's gonna work out. It always does. Even if you might not see it right now, there's always a purpose behind anything. And when I mean purpose, that is, there is always a growth opportunity behind everything. All it takes is just a shift of perspective. So don't be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Enjoy the journey. Thank you for spending this time with me and listening to the very first episode of The Growth Edit. What I shared today is really just a general foundation. There's still so much more I want to share with you. More stories, the moments that shaped me, and the tools that helped me find my way back to myself. This episode was just putting our hand on the doorknob, turning it, and opening the door. That's it. And if anything resonated with you today, if you have any feedback or a topic you'd like me to cover in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and shoot me a DM on Instagram at Higher Self House. I would love to hear from you. And remember, y'all, life is one big edit. Corny, cheesy, but true. Listen, we're all figuring it out as we go. So keep growing, keep having fun, and keep choosing yourself. And I'll see you in the next episode.